Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to introduce myself as Zach Pashada. I recently watched the Netflix, I believe, original platform, which is based on the concept of solidarity with a sense of confinement. And I would just like to say that this film really captured the essence of being alone, yearning, desiring, and greediness. I thought the film was excellently done, although it was probably based off 30 to 40% CGI or electronic manipulation. But I believe that there's a lot of morals or lessons to be taught around the film. I'm not going to get into any spoilers or any names. Or Jermaine Gio is one of the guys. I might be mispronouncing that, but you know, I personally think that this film teaches us that we have little control over what goes on above us. We're a type of society. I live in the United States. Other people obviously live throughout the globe. But you obviously know the difference between the upper class and the lower class. And very quickly, the film takes a stance on who is important and who is not important. And that worried me from the very beginning because even in jails here in the United States, everybody still gets the same food. You don't have to fight or, struggle for it. I mean, there are fights and there are, confrontations, but, we don't have to worry about this sort of thing. I think this film was heavily produced on the effect that change only happens when one person has a very powerful message. And unfortunately, this film, I don't mean in this disrespectful way, was made in Spanish. So they're coming from a different standpoint than we are in the U.S. In the United States, we have the most incarcerated people in the world, in the entire fucking globe. So you have to take that into context. Not because I'm an American, I'm viewing it from that viewpoint. But I had to take myself aside and say, Zach, remove yourself from that. You don't have to worry, about which politicians think what. But it really, I guess, probably about 45 minutes to an hour into the episode, it really started to hit me that, you know, they're trying to produce the effect that humans are evil people. And you know what? There's good people out there, there's bad people out there. You'll come into contact with any of them. But, it just showed how willing the population within the vertical spectrum, the hole, the pit, how willing they were to take their lives to the fullest. I mean, if they wanted to eat, if they wanted to survive, if they wanted companionship. I mean, it just really decimated the fact that we're not a solidarity, nation, so to speak. So, if I were to ask anybody if they want to watch what do you call it, the platform, I would definitely give a thumbs up. I thought it was a great film. I don't really think that you should take a lot away from it, philosophically. I think you should acknowledge the fact of the symbolism. That there are people there's the 1% and then there's the 99%, as they want to call it. And that is true. I mean, the world is distributed wealth is terrible. It's horrific. But this film will at least give you a insight in how the human psyche actually behaves when it's broken down and it has nowhere else to go. When you're confined by a 6x8 wall or whatever it was, and you're confined by eating for a minute to 2 minutes. I mean, it's going to lead to cannibalism. So, to anybody who watches this movie review, I know it's not the best. I know it's probably not, you know, well sophisticated, but I just watched the movie about 2 to 3 hours ago, and I thought it was great. Definitely a little bit, gory at times, but still very impacting. But I would urge the message to be that there has to be a silver lining between greediness, like hoarding for yourself, and helping for others. Because at the end of the day, excuse me, at the end of the day, you don't have, those sort of people who are like-mindedness as you. They don't think the same way as you. They want to be authoritarian, they want to control everything. And that's what this movie is trying to propose, is that the world is trying to you know, just be in your face. Just, this is what we want and this is what we will do. So, while watching this film, I would, kind of ask people to question their own consciousness on how they think justice should be delivered, how, what do you call it, punishment should be delivered. Because personally, I don't think locking somebody in a cage for so odd hours is a great idea. I mean, it's going to do a lot for the system, but it's not going to do a lot for the brain. And that's where you get, when they're traveling lower into the the levels, you start to just see these crazy people. Just batshit crazy. So, you know, this is my first movie review. I'm not a movie critic by any means. I just watched the film and try to gain as much sense as I can. I don't want to give any spoilers away. But I think the message is sending to the upper echelon is that there's people who are suffering, little people, children, babies. They don't have a voice. They don't have the hand to correct things. So maybe that is what, at the end of the film, really was, the purpose or the goal was to send up all the eaten food, and then a child under their striculations, they were apparently under 16, but just to show, it's just like, hey, this isn't working. This isn't a correct, route for corrections. People aren't going to change just because you fucking throw them in a box. So I don't know. I like the film. It made me a little sad. But I definitely think everybody should watch it just to get a perception on how the world works, especially the prison industrial system. I don't think, obviously, our current system represents this by any means, but this is a very much exaggerated, appropriate example of how our world works. You either are at the top or at the bottom. Thank you for listening, and maybe we'll do some more movie reviews.